Hello and welcome to this episode of Not Just Ghost Stories. I'm your host Josh, joined by Jackie and Laura. We are a small team of experienced paranormal investigators, and here we discuss different locations that we've investigated, along with a little history and the paranormal evidence that we found. Today we're going to resume our investigation and our discussion on Sweet Springs in West Virginia. Now, we left you on the last one. We had already been talking with somebody on the outside on the lowest floor, the basement floor. We'd already been up to the top floor, gotten some pretty cool evidence and some stuff going on there. And then we had made it out to the bathhouse by way of Jackie's crystal ball getting attacked. And then found out, hey, Jackie could get 10 ponies in order to kill me. So we were good from there. So at that point, we decided, hey, let's go take a break and try to figure out what to do next, kind of regroup. I think what we decided to do was then just kind of stay inside the house again, and do. I think we did the main floor where all of our stuff was. Correct?
Yeah.
So in the middle of all that, there was this big mirror that the current owner had told us about. So we decided to do some investigation around that mirror. So what do you guys remember about that mirror?
When he says big mirror, it's not like a mirror you're thinking in your bathroom big. It's like a floor to ceiling mirror.
Like a ballroom mirror.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily really wide, but it stands out.
Yeah. I'd probably say as far as width-wise, I mean, height-wise, it was, I think the floor to ceiling was about 10 feet.
Yeah. Something like that.
Width-wise, we were probably looking at, 6 to 7 feet wide, somewhere in there. So it was a very large mirror. So there was, stuff going on with it. Laura, you had some feelings about that mirror, correct?
I did. I knew that mirror had been there for the majority of the time that the building has been there, the current building. So I decided that mirror had to have seen some things because it's located pretty close to where you come in the front, which means I would think most people visiting would have looked down that at some point. So what I did was I took a lot of pictures of it, didn't get anything in those, but I did sit there and just stare in that mirror, almost like you would scribe into it, I guess. And I've seen a lot of faces, basically a walk through history.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of people that stayed there. Some of them, I believe, are still attached there, and those are the ones where I felt like it would slow down. But I knew George Washington looked in the mirror. I didn't see him in that mirror, but I was pretty positive. I just felt that for some reason. I know it's weird.
I mean, Jackie, what did you feel about the mirror?
The first thing is, I don't think it was a portal. When you see a mirror, okay, when I see a mirror, I'm thinking, is this a portal? And I kept staring at it and looking at it and staring at it and looking at it. And it's like, I don't think it's a portal. We did put a camera on it, and I believe it was, like you said, trail cam or whatever. And I got a picture. And I kept looking. I could debunk the picture, but I had to look at it. Was I just doing that thing where we see faces? Was there a face? I'm still kind of unsure. It's not something I can call paranormal because I do have my doubts. It just might be different shadows or whatever.
I mean, the mirror itself was interesting. I mean, I kind of did a whole bunch of stuff with it too, trying to kind of look into it. I didn't get a whole lot out of it overall, but I'm also not like, psychic or anything else like that. So for me, I was just kind of like, I'm not 100% sure. For me, it was just interesting where the placement of it was. I felt like there was because it was like on a pillar style type of thing. I'm like, well, there should be one over there. And at one point there might have been, because I was looking more at the architecture of it, but the mirror itself was just a really cool piece inside of that place.
Well, to touch it, if you're able to feel those things, you could feel the energy or like an electric current running through it. So, like Jackie, it's not a portal, but I would say that it's a recorder. The mirror does have abilities, and it does record what it sees if you're able to access it. I would love to spend a lot more time with that mirror and see if I could figure out how to slow things down or how to get it to show me like a whole picture of what went on that room, not just someone up close. And I do think some of those are recorded in that mirror.
Well, that's, I mean, pretty cool.
Yeah,
overall.
because I never thought about this, but George Washington looked into it, and if he was up close, you could look up his nose.
I could have.
You could have been the only person that's seen up George Washington's nose.
That's right.
This is why we ghost hunt people.
Exactly. This is what we're looking for. So we'll move on from the mirror. If you go down, like we said, this place is very long, and the main floor is no different from what the top floor was. You literally look all the way down it. You can walk all the way down. At the very end, there was a what they put in, basically a chapel, inside of it. So we decided to go investigate that. Now that was an interesting place. Now, what I will say about myself, by this time, I was still very tired, very drained. What had happened at the bathhouse had kind of affected me. I just needed to kind of still come down from it. But I was sitting in one of the little pews that they had sitting there. Jackie, you were at the altar.
I was at the altar. I am very, what do you call it, disrespectful in churches.
Yeah. Well, she has a tendency to, when she goes into some type of church, she goes up and just starts, preaching in a church.
Or she finds a hymn and tries to read it as if it's a porno.
Oh, no, that was in Center Church.
Yeah,
And
that was
most
wrong
of them
church.
if you ever sit down and read a hymnal, it could be the track for a porno movie.
We'll get to that one whenever we decide to do Center Church.
There were two, the stage altar, I'm sorry. There's 2 rooms off it. I guess that's where the priests, pastors, whatever, get prepared.
Yeah.
And I know those rooms kind of bothered me. It was hard to keep your back, or even they were a little bit behind me, the sides to them. You just didn't trust them.
Yeah. Well, I was sitting there and just kind of, laughing at Jackie while she was, making her little sermon up there. But I started kind of wanting to look around, and we started looking down the back toward the hallway where you come into it. And Jackie's like, "Are you seeing this?" And just a whole bunch of shadow figures.
There were a whole bunch of shadow figures, but and I don't know at what point you weren't looking at the time. This white light face, I thought it was a nun, just screaming through the air, heading right towards me. And I thought, I don't think she likes me.
No.
No, I mean, I didn't catch that, but I did see. I mean, it just seemed like hundreds of shadow figures just coming down the hallway toward the chapel, and then once they would get to the door, it's like they wouldn't come in, like they couldn't make it through for some reason, or just didn't want to. I'm still unsure about that. Laura, what do you remember about the chapel area?
Okay, well, as some people have probably already put together, I was raised in the Appalachian Mountains, not in West Virginia, but still the same mountains. Churches are basically sanctified where I come from.
Mm-hmm.
This did not feel like a church that I'd been in the mountains, okay? It just didn't.
It was tainted.
It was tainted. It had a weird vibe. When I sat in those pews, I know Robin and I were sitting like in the back on the left-hand side. And I really couldn't even hardly investigate in there because I couldn't stay awake.
Mm-hmm.
I was fine before we went in there, but this is the notes that I wrote. I felt drained in there. That was the church. I did see a lot of the shadows, and there's no way I would want to sit in those back rooms by myself with the lights out. I mean, probably at this point I would do it, but back then I wouldn't have done it. But it's definitely not holy whatever is in there.
No, it's been tainted. And I recognized it because I've been in a church that had, it was some sort of blood ritual done on the altar, unbeknownst by the church people. And you can just, a tainted church it stands out because it's you're feeling things that you shouldn't be feeling in a church. So in that chapel, even though it was chapel, church, whatever, was tainted.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the whole entire thing, the whole entire room itself, it was not a small room. It was a pretty decent sized room. Just had a different feel. Like everything was different about it.
I've thought about the church thing, just because I assume based on where it is, it was probably a Southern Baptist church. That's just what it is there. But I'm wondering if that whole ground that you're on during the time of Indians, that would have been sacred ground because of its healing abilities that they believed in. So if they've already, deemed this space to be what they believe as, holy, how can you sanctify another church on top of it? Can
Well,
you? I don't know.
Now, to me, and you've probably gotten this part too. I don't do religion, but to me, why couldn't you sanctify it? Have two sanctified, one for the Native American, one for the Christians. If you're talking about sanctifying a church, you're talking about a church of love and peace and all the good stuff.
Not if you're Southern Baptist.
But you're still talking about the love of God. And
Yes.
yeah, you're not talking about we're going to sacrifice the virgins.
It's more hellfire and brimstone than love and angels, though.
Right. But it's still for a God, a loving God.
Yes.
Your God is a loving God. So I can see that. But kind of where I come from is if you think about it, and I'm not a demon expert, but demons tend to be equated with religion. And for what the demon usually wants is taking a soul away from taking a good soul, turning it evil. So to me, the first place they're going to go is the church and take over the church. So everybody leaves the church and they leave it sanctified, but they're not using it. Then the demons come in and take it over and taint it.
And they may, even adding to a theory like that, they may have even thrived there in the beginning just because of being able to, kill all this good that would have went on in that room. I'm assuming they used that church when it was TB. I don't know how long it had been a church in there. I don't think we ever got that covered.
I mean, we don't know exactly when it was changed or even if it was built as some type of chapel because, I mean, it was a place for people to stay. So if it was a weekend and they wanted to go to a church service instead of having to leave the building and go find a church that they were unfamiliar with.
Right.
And at that time was probably very far away. And more to get to, they might have actually built one there. So we don't know exactly when, where, how, or when that, was put there. But I mean, we have to think of the possibility of could have been in the 1700s or could have been, more recently as far as when it was an elderly home.
Yeah, those would be two very different churches.
Yeah.
And also, if you had they built slave quarters, there was a slave population. Where did your slaves come from? And they might be Christian people, but they have different practices.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's as far as that chapel itself, there's something off. We know that there's something off. My biggest question is how come those shadows, why were they coming by what seemed to be the hundreds and not coming in? Why at that time when we were in it, and what else is going on with it? Why does it feel so weird? So there's unanswered questions. We try to get answers. Of course, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you just get more questions on top of those other questions.
When do we get the answers?
Or maybe the shadows that we saw thought that by us going in there, we would put off the same energy as when it was used as a chapel. Maybe they thrive on that.
Maybe they came because I'm a hilarious person.
That's right. I mean, she was at the pew.
True. Yeah, she was up on the altar kind of giving a sermon. Maybe she attracted
Put me to sleep.
So, from this point, we decided, all right, we're going to, I think we ended up doing the second floor. I don't think we got a whole lot off of that second floor. Am I remembering correctly?
I'm thinking.
The second floor is where they put the 2 long extensions on.
Yeah.
So the building was kind of like a boomerang, but in the middle of it they had built 2 more, I think for the TB,
Mm-hmm.
2 more wings that
Mhm.
went off, and we went down both of them, but one of them, yeah, we found something. The 2 men.
The 2 men.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, almost
Yes.
forgot it. All right, so let's get into the 2 men. So, Jackie, you'd actually almost kind of predicted it. Your crystal ball had told you that there was going to be something going on with Laura at that point, right?
Yeah.
So, you'd kind of known, and then once we got to that area, that's when you went, "Oh, hold on, this is it." For some reason,
We actually, Laura was halfway down the hall, sitting down there, and me, you, and Tech Jeff were at the end of the hall,
Mhm.
sitting in chairs. And I got up and left. And the reason why I got up and left is because I can't hear Laura, but I can hear her talking. I can't make out what she says. And Laura's the psychic, and I'm the comic relief. But I'm hearing the answers to her questions in my head. From these, I could see the 2 men, young men, and they are extremely angry at Laura. They keep yelling, "Why can't she help us? Why isn't she helping us? She can set us free." And I'm just like, what the hell's going on here? Why? And so I went up to Laura. I said, "You getting those answers?" She says, "I think you said no, they're not talking to you." I said,
No, it was like just blank for me.
Yes.
I didn't see them. I didn't hear them.
"Well, they were talking to me, so now I can hear the questions." The problem is, they were extremely put out at Laura, and their answers I could not give because, I mean, they didn't call the Laura, they didn't say the psychic. Why isn't the fucking bitch helping us? That was their answers, and I got to sort through all these answers and all this anger directed at Laura when I'm sitting here thinking, they're talking to me. Why the hell can't they talk to the psychic? They don't need the middleman. But yeah, they were angry at you. They
Yeah.
assumed you could save them. Save them from what? I don't know.
And then you got Jackie, who's obviously influenced by them somehow. I mean, they're speaking in her mind. And when she's trying to relate to me, she's kind of angry about it. She was like,
Well,
you
but-
are not trying. And I'm like, trying what? I don't know what you
well,
want me
but
to
at
try.
the same time, she was getting angry at those 2 because I can remember her yelling, "Man, it's like she's the psychic. Go and talk to her.
Because
And
it was, I mean,
Stop talking to me," is what she said.
they were not saying nice words. And I don't have a problem with not saying nice words. But oh my God, the vile behind them, they were mad at you.
Yeah.
Very
Now, what I remember about this is me and Tech Jeff were sitting back because there was a room that was kind of at the very end of that hallway, sitting in that back room, and I'm watching, and I can see the back of Laura and the back of Jackie, and I'm watching shadows just run between us and them, and going, what's going on down this hallway? What are they doing down here? So I'm walking down, not finding anything, but those weren't the ones that were even talking to you guys. They were in front of you, to a point where I couldn't see. But like there was just these little things that would just kind of dart between a doorway on one side or the other, going like I just wanted you 2 to like turn around and see, and you guys were so focused in front of you.
You couldn't turn. When you're faced with that much anger,
Yeah.
you really don't want to turn. And they, for some reason, they never said why they were trapped, who trapped them. I think I asked those questions.
I was going to say the more interesting part is
They got
these people said they were trapped.
Yeah.
They said they were trapped. They want to go home, and Laura can take them home, and she's not taking them home. And what the hell is wrong with her? And all sorts of names they called her. And I finally threw up my hands and I said, "You know what? She's the frickin' psychic. You talk to her." And I walked away because it was, I mean, they were angry.
Yeah. And I think at that point, I think we all just decided, okay, we're going to get out of this hallway because Laura even tried a couple more times and they just were not
No.
communicating with you at all. Is that correct, Laura?
No, they weren't. And then there was times that I felt like anxiety in that hallway. Not like scared anxiety, but the fear of what was going to happen to the people that had been there.
Yeah.
It still bothers me that these people are trapped and they think I can help them.
Well, why didn't you?
I don't know how. My thing is how do you know who you're really talking to?
Yeah.
I don't know who put them there or why they did. Even if I could, I wouldn't. There may be a reason.
They did not accept that answer.
No, they didn't.
They kept telling me she knows how. She can do it. She's not doing it. Why isn't she doing it?
And this is not. There's been other times that spirits have been mad because I wasn't doing what they think I can do.
Yeah.
I don't know what those things are, let alone how to do them.
Yeah, but I think this time you understand more how to handle that, especially if they are coming and telling you that. This one here just they wouldn't talk to you one bit, but wanted you to somehow do something, which was a little different. But we did decide to end up leaving that area, and
nobody was going to get any resolve, and I'm trying not to because you're right. There's anger in me, some of theirs, some of mine, and I had to. If I had said exactly what came out of their mouths, and you can't hear them, you would have thought, "What the hell?" Jackie hates me or something.
Yeah, what did I do to Jackie to piss her off?
And if they're trapped there, you have to be trapped by something or someone or power.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would trap yourself. So it has to be an outside thing. Was part of it that they can't communicate psychically, maybe so that they couldn't call psychics to come and help them.
But if they could, because it was strictly in my head.
It was like if they were so adamant in your head, why could they not? I mean, I didn't feel them. I didn't feel their anger.
Yeah.
That Jackie was experiencing.
Yeah. Maybe
I was just asking questions to no answers.
Yeah.
My head might be more empty than yours.
Like I said, we ended up leaving. And then we decided to investigate the basement. We hadn't done it at that part. Now, the basement, when you come down the stairs, it's almost like it's split off in two different areas. One area they ended up using as a haunted house.
Yes.
And then the other area was actually what I think was a slaves' quarters and stuff back in that area, wasn't it?
Yeah, and at one point, wasn't there a bar in that one room we went down? Didn't you say there was a bar there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we investigated the one side. There wasn't really a whole lot that we were able to really, the Halloween decorations were kind of really throwing us off. They had, garbage bags up and
the thing is when they do something like a haunted house, it does throw the paranormal scale off because that still traps those folks' emotions. I mean, a lot of them that go there really are completely terrified.
Yeah.
So that can, I think, throw some readings off.
Now, so we decided to kind of more focus on the other side. Now, Laura, you had told me before that when you were down there, you did not you couldn't be by yourself. Somebody had to always be behind you.
Behind me.
Yeah.
I was okay with meeting it head on, but my fear down there was behind me, and it was almost to the point I felt like I was walking with my shoulders squinched forward because I really had the feeling that if it could get on me, that it could leave with me.
Yeah. And I mean, the overall feeling in that basement was different from the rest of the building. You could almost feel dread. You could almost feel sadness.
It's not a demon down there. We'll say that, but it's not really nice either.
Small shadows, quick.
Yeah, small, quick shadows. Now, one thing I will say about Sweet Springs as a whole, one of the reasons why I got so interested in it is on the show Destination Fear. They went there. Tanner ended up actually getting really angry in this part that we were now at because he kept hearing voices, thought somebody was messing with him. And at that point, I was like, oh, I got to go there. Now, let me tell you, I can see now after being in that area of why, you heard the voices on their videos, and everything else, but just the overall feeling in that area is just different. I don't know how else to put
I'm
it.
pretty sure whatever resides there needs fear and unease.
Yeah. I mean, there was different parts to it. Like they had the old laundry room. They actually still had some of the signs up from when it was different areas. And then for some reason, is this the place that had the press where somebody got their arm caught in it?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
way at the end.
Way at the very end. And that room was totally different from the rest of the basement. For me, just this overwhelming feeling of sadness, like somebody was just crying and in pain. Do you guys remember anything as far as in that room?
I remember it being hotter in there, but I couldn't say that would be paranormal.
Well,
Yeah.
there's no heat in the building.
But that room still feels like warm, like when you enter it.
Yeah. I mean, the basement is different. It really is. And as you can see, we're not talking about it a whole lot, but we did some major investigation down there trying to get, I got 0 EVPs. We got 0 things on pictures. But it was just an overall weird feeling. This is where you're going to get those really weird feelings in this building, is down in that basement. Those feelings, they're deep in the pit of your stomach. They're in your chest. They're just kind of your whole entire body, which was kind of crazy.
I think now that's the most questioning part is we did spend a lot of time down there and we're all like, what can we say about there? I mean, because you can feel that something is there, but we didn't get it in any way other than feeling it.
Yeah. So let's leave off with our overall thoughts on Sweet Springs. Jackie, you want to start?
Yeah, it's well worth going to.
Yeah. Laura?
It is well worth going to. I would love to go back because I'm just really curious about these two gentlemen, and I would like to, now that I have a bit more experience and know things that I can pull to help me, I just would like to talk to them myself.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing I will say about the property itself, amazing place.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Someplace where you can just go sit down and look around and just take in.
You really want to just sit down and have a picnic when you look at it.
The people that are doing the volunteer work on this place and everything are just amazing people, because they have to put a lot of time and a lot of energy into this buildings in order to make sure they're restored and good for people, because they really want to promote Sweet Springs and get it back out there again. Paranormal wise, places just amazing. So many really cool things.
I mean, even if the Indians don't want to kill you, you're still going to get a lot of activity.
Yeah, you'll get a lot of activity. The Indians don't have to kill you for you to go there.
And by all means, if you get any EVPs of these two fine gentlemen up there, send them on to us.
After you bleep out all the bad stuff they say.
Send it raw.
But the place, now what I will say, that part of West Virginia is crazy alone.
It's so close. At some point, we took a little ride.
Yeah.
And how many times did we cross over Virginia, then back to West Virginia? Stayed on the same road, but all of a sudden we're in Virginia, then we're in West Virginia, then we're in Virginia. And
well, I believe that this is also the place that had Dollar General that was surrounded by a cow field.
We do mean surrounded.
It was totally surrounded, which was just crazy all in itself. So
that was where we camped.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
You literally pull in and it's inset in the field. Like the cows are they're not just behind the dollar.
They're on either side.
They're on the side.
Yeah.
They literally just went in and like cut out a spot big enough to park and to put a building, was like, we're going to lease that to Dollar General.
Yeah. And decided, hey, let's put a Dollar General right here in the middle of the cow pasture.
Well, and when you'll see the sign for it, and when you pull in, you see a building that's closed down, and you're like, did they close? And then as you drive up the hill just a little bit, because you're like, well, I guess I got to turn around. And when you drive, then you're going to see it up on the top, and you're like, it's in the middle of a cow field. Okay.
But this place is in the middle of nowhere. But even if you go and don't ghost hunt, it is beautiful.
Yeah.
Not just Sweet Springs Resort area, but the whole,
The whole town.
resulting there. So
And we stayed at a campground that was very nice, very laid back. The people were nice and stuff.
Mhm.
They were nice enough to put a sign on the bathroom that said, "Be careful of bears." Good to know when you're
yeah,
tent camping.
Yeah. So, overall thoughts, feelings, anything else anybody would like to say?
Ghost hunts like this I like. I like the history of it. I like the fact that there's dedicated people that have spent their own time and money to bring this to back to life and stuff, instead of just bringing in a bulldozer and leveling the place. So I know it's a little expensive, but it makes me feel kind of like I did a little part because I gave them money and they gave me a great ghost hunt.
yep.
All right. So, with all that being said, this has been Not Just Ghost Stories. I've been your host, Josh.
Laura,
And Jackie.
And until next time, you can find information and contact us on our website at notjustghoststories.com and see any evidence that we've discussed on this podcast at Facebook at Not Just Ghost Stories.